Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode, episode number 79 today for the Austrian Grand Prix in Season 5. If you guys did miss the previous episode at the Canadian Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out, because that was an absolute circus of a race. That was a madness. Everything that could have happened did happen, including our game crashing at the end of that race. Many DNFs, two disqualifications. Yeah, definitely go check that race out at Montreal. That was a bit of a madness, and it was unfortunate the game crashed because we didn't get to really see any of the, what I'm sure were going to be some very bizarre replays, especially of the pile-up that, caused many of the DNFs and disqualifications early on. But, yeah, following that race, we did obviously kind of keep the result of the top four, wanting to keep everything as fair as we could, and obviously fair and square. We got the damage early on lap 1 with Giovinazzi. And, to be fair, I think we did a very good job of limping around to be in P4 by the point where the game crashed. So, in terms of that, we still lead the championship by only 1 point to Carlos Sainz. Guan Yu Zhou, though, went on to win and catapults himself into this top 4 fight for the championship at the moment. Russell in P4 there with a podium, 66 points for him, and Leclerc not too far off as well. So you've got to say right now, the top 5 are looking like your likely candidates to maybe start emerging into a bit of a title fight as we, head on past the first third of the season. But there's still so many races to go, and anything could happen, and there could still be a massive shift and momentum change in this season. We've seen that previously before, so, let's not count out anyone, especially with how things are, so close with the cars being all maxed out, and it is really all about the focus. But looking through, the focuses of these drivers, it is surprising here and there at some drivers not performing well. Ricciardo, his focus has dropped off so much, so not surprised to see him so far off his teammate Sainz. But you got the likes of, Bottas and Gasly, still very highly focused, but compared to their teammates, they're not just doing that well anymore. Tsunoda has definitely, looked a bit better in the AlphaTauri. Guan Yu Zhou is definitely now the lead in the Williams team right now, and Bottas is far from the driver we saw at the end of Season 4. So it is very odd how it kind of works in the game. Although their focuses are still high, I guess that just natural momentum of not having the results string together is also a big factor. So it's not just about the numerical value of that. So we'll continue to see if that pattern continues into the Austrian Grand Prix, the Red Bull Ring. And to be fair, in flashes, Red Bull have looked good this season. So let's see if they're going to turn up for their home Grand Prix. But for us, we come into this race, well, not from an off race, but not from a great race. Obviously, it wasn't ideal, the damage we got, but like I said, a reason why I also wanted to keep that result from Canada when the game crashed was because although I did have the damage, I actually think I did a very good job of staying in P4. So I'm not too disheartened by that. We came off from a win and then making the most of having pretty bad floor damage to still get a top 4 position. So I'm actually in pretty good spirits coming into the Austrian Grand Prix. It's a circuit where we've gone very well at in the past, and has generally been quite a crazy race actually in F1 2021 My Team Career Mode, with tyre wear being a massive factor, and then also we've had a few wet races where things got very interesting. I don't think there's any rain forecast for this race weekend in Season 5, so it may just be down to the pure performance and that tyre wear, like I said. But first and foremost, trying to get through the sessions on Saturday in qualifying. Q2 hopefully going to be our one and only flying lap there ahead of Leclerc at the moment. Tsunoda ahead with Ricciardo looking quite strong for some reason. The Ferrari, we just talked him down and he's actually there. Both Ferraris for the first time I think ever maybe in the season so far have both got into the top 10 shootout. Both AlphaTauris as well have got through, and only one Red Bull, Schumacher, knocked out. Giovinazzi again doing the better job on the other side of the garage. Guan Yu Zhou makes it through, Bottas does not, so still slumping again. And then the common pattern we've seen also with McLaren is only one of them makes it through, and it is Russell this time, carrying that strength from that podium from Canada into this one. But, the top is so close. The top 4 covered by 600th of a second. Tsunoda then and Gasly only 2/10 off then after that. So it's going to be tight. It's such a short lap. So to have such a close qualifying Q2 there with such a short lap is very impressive. So there's no room for error here. And even though the my team cars perform well around Austria in general. There's no guarantee, but let's see what we can do. Can we go for a third front row in a row? No, doesn't look like it on the first run. Big mistake from us. I could see the rear end slipping, but we just committed too much to the throttle. I thought, no, surely the grip is going to come, and it never did. I think part of that was also maybe the curb, because that inside curb on the left-hand side is a bit 3D shape, so I think off the exit, maybe my rear left tyre was still on the curb as I put down the power. So a little bit too eager, trying to bite a bit more than I can chew on that first opening lap in the top 10 shootout. So we go again, second flyer, and this is our one and only lap. At the moment, we've got, well, the Ferrari's really shocking first laps, and the same for Leclerc. He's only down in P8 here. As we move on later into this flyer, we actually catch Yuki Tsunoda. Really bad timing. He's giving me some dirty air. Although we can't catch him, he's still affecting me in terms of just seeing him there is a little bit annoying and frustrating and distracting. But then there's slight understeer kicking in on the front end as we come through the last bend. Not as tight as I wanted on the inside there, and across the line, and it is a shocking performance. P9. I thought that was an okay lap. It's a 1 minute 5 tenths there, but you've got the top 4 going sub 1 minute at the Austrian Grand Prix. Guan Yu Zhou, his second pole position in a row, and this season as a whole. Giovinazzi, though, for Red Bull Racing. What a performance for him. Schumacher knocked out in Q2, way off the pace, and he's here getting in the front row for Red Bull, their home race. What a qualifying for him. And also Verstappen as well in the Mercedes to be that close to things on the second row. Russell P4, Gasly, Leclerc, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, myself and Sainz. The two Ferraris will be very disappointed, as well as myself, because we're so far off the pace there. That is just so baffling. I just don't know where the pace went in this last part of the qualifying. Obviously, I made a mistake. That didn't help us. We could have built on a better first lap, but yeah, we've got a lot of work to do then in the race.
Good afternoon and welcome to Spielberg, and to a circuit that in one form or another has held every Austrian Grand Prix in the championship, except the very first back in 1964. It was at this race that John Watson lost a bet and his beard when he took Team Penske's only F1 victory in 1976. If anything, the stakes are even higher today, with 25 points available for victory and a crucial advantage in the championship fight. The Spielberg circuit then is situated 700 metres above sea level, with just 10 corners making up one of the shortest laps of the season. One time around here is a distance of 2.6 miles, with the best overtaking chances into turn 1 or the tight uphill turn 3. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. We should talk about Williams. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Guan Yu Zhou lines up on pole position, edging out Antonio Giovinazzi, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Russell, Pierre Gasly and Leclerc, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, the owner driver and Lando Norris, Ocon, Bottas, Mick Schumacher and Stroll, Eilert, Hamilton, Nicholas Latifi and Nikita Mazepin, Aitken, Sainz, Lundgaard and Nobuharu Matsushita. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
Well, looks like Carlos Sainz's day got even worse in Ferrari, because one of our championship contenders, who was P10 on the grid behind me, has been knocked down even further due to an engine penalty. So it's been a tough time for Sainz. For us then, we're still P9, even with that penalty for him because he was behind us. So we look at the race strategy. We've got 2 stops either way, either we use mediums or hards, but you can see all sunny skies, so no rain to factor in. But we know from past races that the tyre wear can be very, very horrendous. around the Red Bull Ring. So we're going to watch out for that. Maybe an early pit stop, try and undercut could be the way to go, but then also you risk trying to go a little bit too long then on the medium tyres. Will some people try an audacious one stop? I don't know, but from P9, we've got our work cut out here at the Red Bull Ring as we go to 5 red lights to the Austrian Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go, and it's a slow start for Ricciardo, and even slow one for Gasly up the road as he gets swamped by Leclerc. Sonoda nearly overtakes him. We take a move round the outside there. Leclerc spun. Leclerc's been spun off. Our teammate is facing the wrong way at the exit of turn 1, and we managed to get up into P5 then. We took a bit of avoiding action cheekily on the left-hand side like they do in real life, and we managed to overtake both AlphaTauris in that. Meanwhile, Giovinazzi, this is the Italian, going for the race lead. He battles Guan Yu Zhou in the Williams. The Williams defends very harshly, but Giovinazzi tries, but fails round the outside. But a noble effort, but Gio actually initially was in the lead flat out, I think, and now he's being overtaken by Russell. What a shame. The Italian had such a great start off the private lights. I think he took the lead at turn 1 and then got overtaken by the Williams, re-overtaken, and then Russell with a fantastic dive, that is, really, and a very tricky left-hander, a corner where I always understeer compared to the AI, but Russell able to really dive the nose in very well of the McLaren. He's up into P2. Giovinazzi then back down to P3. Verstappen close behind in the Mercedes. Meanwhile, we're up into P5, chasing after, trying to bridge that gap. Let's have a look at a replay then. Leclerc, fabulous launch actually, side by side with Verstappen, and he gets spun on Verstappen's rear end. So actually, his great start was kind of his detriment because he just got pinched in, basically. Very unfortunate, very easy incident to have. No one's fault, really, just a racing one, but really, really unfortunate. But here we go then. Replay of this battle on board. So Guan Yu Zhou has to really dive it to try and get back on Giovinazzi. A bit of contact made between these two. Great scrap, though, for the race lead, I must say. But in the end, the Williams just seems to have a little bit more pace on the inside there. And also, Giovinazzi gets strung out and hung out to dry on the outside. And then he kind of opens himself up, and Russell kind of, almost forces the move there, because I feel like Giovinazzi didn't really know he was even there. But Russell, as I said, the front end just bit so well for the McLaren on the inside there versus, myself, for example, where I always go wide at that corner. And so the Brit is up into second place and can chase after the Chinese driver, who's vying for maybe a second win in a row this season if he goes on to win this one. 2 poles in a row. Could he convert this pole to a race win like he did in Canada? Meanwhile, we're chasing after that top 4 pack, and we're getting away from Ricciardo slowly but surely. Meanwhile, behind the other Williams, Bottas had a really poor qualifying. He's in the thick of it right now in the midfield, but looking to overtake these guys. He's starting on the mediums, though, so he's on the slower tyre, but he's getting past these guys and getting to crucial clean air. And then I'm sure later in the race, he's going to be able to use the fact that he's out in the lead probably on the mediums, because obviously everyone else ahead of him will pit from the softs. So I think Bottas actually could be in a very strong position to try and close up and join his teammate at some point on the track, if he can just carry on that that momentum and that kind of pace that he's got right now on the mediums. Meanwhile, lap 4, I said we were trying to get away from Ricciardo. He's actually closed up to us a little bit. It's sticking with us right now on lap 4 as we now watch on behind. Bottas with another move, a nice dive around the outside of Esteban Ocon. So Bottas into P11, and you can see the points-paying positions up the road. Schumacher, Sonoda, Norris all tucked in with the battle. Meanwhile, Hamilton struggling and, not overtaking. He tried an attempted overtake, but no, the Aston Martin keeps it ahead. Hamilton just struggling. We hardly talk about Hamilton anymore in this career mode series because he's focus 21, struggling so much, gets consistently knocked out of Q1. At this point, I just kind of almost feel like the game should automatically retire him because clearly he's just not cut out anymore for it in the career mode of ours, and he's almost wasting a seat right now in the career mode in a sense, but it is what it is. Meanwhile, Leclerc, here he is. He's overtaken one of the Haskars and will look to overtake Lundgaard then, but he's got a very, very long afternoon ahead of him. Unless there's, you know, maybe a safety car or two to help him out, which is a possibility. Last season, I think we had about 4 safety cars here at Austria in Season 4, and Leclerc overtakes the Haas, but he's actually being attacked a little bit by Matsushita on the outside there, having to do some defensive work. I don't know if he's got any sort of damage or just, you know, his tyres are a bit messed up from that spin he had, but yeah, unless there's a safety car, he's got a very long race ahead of him. And now, meanwhile, we watch on Nikita Mazepin overtaking Ilott, because Hamilton has actually finally got past the Aston Martin, so that's at least good stuff for him to actually find a little bit of pace to overtake a much slower car, really, in reality. But we move back to our POV then, lap number 6. And we have finally got into a groove around Austria. We've pushed away from Daniel Ricciardo, who's now struggling in that Ferrari, and he's backing up into Gasly, you can see on the minimap and the time standings. Meanwhile, we're right there now behind Verstappen in this top 5 fight, this train all the way up to Guan Yu Zhou. Verstappen slow, though, in the Mercedes. We've got much greater overspeed with the DRS, a lot of ERS usage, but Verstappen defends on the inside. Meanwhile, Russell just had a look at Guan Yu Zhou for the race lead there, but we've overtaken Verstappen around the outside. He put up a really good defensive dive on the inside, I must say, but we just kept it calm, let the car roll through on the outside, and we're able to get up into P4. But yeah, Russell had a little attempt for the race lead, so there is an active race for this win here today between maybe the McLaren and the Williams, and I've got to say maybe even ourselves and the Red Bull here and Verstappen. You know, we're all 5 of us, we've pulled away, we're forming our own gap away from Ricciardo and the rest of them as we now watch on Lando versus Gasly. But we're going to try and go around the outside of Giovinazzi for P3. Can we do it? No, Giovinazzi just pushes us wide in the same sort of way Guan Yu Zhou pushed him wide, and we just can't get the traction we needed to go around the outside. Meanwhile, Lando has just overtaken Gasly in the AlphaTauri, and Bottas with a brilliant dive on the inside of Sonoda, and he's announced himself into the top 10. He's already overtaken Mick Schumacher at some point. We missed that overtake, and just sent it on Sonoda in a very similar move to the one Russell made on Giovinazzi on lap 1, of course. So good stuff there from Bottas. I think, you know, the pace Bottas has got right now on the mediums, I think there's no doubt in my mind he'll be up here in the top 4 by the end of this race, basically. But there is definitely a fight on for this race win. Russell versus Guan Yu Zhou at the moment. Can George Russell go down the inside to get the lead? He goes for it. He is ahead by a whisker, but no, the Williams has the better racing line and is able to maintain P1. We know how good the Williams can be at defending its position. Meanwhile, we have a look on the right, now on the outside again. Second time lucky. This time we're going to get the power a little bit earlier, and we're going to squirm away on the rear, try and get the power down side by side with Antonio Giovinazzi. We're on the inside understeering, but that's going to help us. The understeer helped us push Giovinazzi a little bit wide. No contact made, but we're able to force the move through into P3. That was fabulous stuff, though, on the outside of that previous corner to actually get the traction we failed to get the first time. In third gear, just got enough of a bite on the rear end, slammed on the throttle, ERS, bit of usage, and we're able to pull off that move and set that one up for P3. We've got Ricciardo in, so maybe he was struggling on his tyres then. Maybe that's why he fell away so much. As we watch on now, Russell still having a look at Guan Yu Zhou. Is it going to be third time lucky for the McLaren? The Brit on the inside. It's going to be a real big squeeze from the Williams. So much so, a bit of a lockup from Guan Yu Zhou, and maybe almost contact between these two, Russell and Zhou. This is a titanic scrap for the race lead, and Russell's got it now with DRS down the inside. Guan Yu Zhou, oh! Big lockup from the Williams. It's a disaster mistake from the junior Chinese driver. He's down to P3, and that's where the experience matters. He's buckled under pressure. He's been overtaken by Russell, and then he immediately made a howler of a mistake, and we've got an easy P2. And you know what? We've got the momentum. We've got pace in this car. I reckon we can try and go get George Russell now. Starting from P9, got quite lucky on lap 1, I'll admit, but now we've got our head down, and we're here. We're within DRS. We could go for the race lead potentially.
Like we might have an issue.
Oh no. That is not the message we need. Hopefully that's just going to be an ERS issue, a temporary sort of thing. Maybe we lose ERS in a little bit, potentially temporarily, but right now we're on full blast. DRS DRS open, and we are going for the race lead at the Austrian Grand Prix. It's an easy overtake. We fly past George Russell, and now we can try and control this race. But we've got that radio message, potential issue that the team said we're trying to manage. But what is it going to be? Is it going to be an ERS issue, a fuel issue? No, it's not. It's going to be a flat-out mechanical issue, and our engine is smoking. The turbo's gone. The turbo's gone. I can't believe it. You're kidding me. We're doing so well. We're doing so well in this race. P9 to P1. Oh, no. We crashed with Giovinazzi. I didn't have control of my car. My car was controlled by my AI. So I've ruined Giovinazzi's race as well. So more drama. But the initial drama is that we've got a mechanical failure. Nothing we can do about that. And we have got to retire. There's no way around it. We have to retire. And that is our race over. That is so gutting. That was going to be such a good race. We're in with a chance of racing for this race win there. We just got into the lead. I think this battle would have continued on for the whole race between myself, Russell, Guan Yu Zhou, who had pit on that lap, so he might have gone undercut. Then you had, Giovinazzi there or thereabouts, Verstappen, and also Bottas was going to come through on the mediums, I think. But Russell gets a face full of smoke as our engine goes pop, and the turbocharger fails us and goes up in smokes. Verstappen has to take avoiding action. Giovinazzi cannot, and I'm so sorry for him. Giovinazzi gets a DNF through no fault of his own, but not even my fault, because at that point I can't steer the car. So that was just down to the AI. So bad news all round for myself and Giovinazzi, both out of this race.
Brilliant stuff from McLaren today. What a superb victory. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
Well, George Russell gets the win of the race. It's a double McLaren podium with Gasly up in P2. So, obviously, unfortunately, when you get a mechanical issue, there was no way of watching the rest of the race whatsoever. So, this is just the rest of the race being simulated off camera. Russell becomes the very first repeat winner of Season 5. The person who won the first race of the season wins this second one at Austria. Then Gasly on the podium. He had some lightning pace fast up the Grand Prix. So, the AlphaTauri, well, Gasly finally has woken up this season to get that podium, and Lando does very well to recover up into P3 because he was down with Gasly fighting for P7 at one point. Guan Yu Zhou fell away, it seems, with tyre wear, and obviously Giovinazzi taken out of the race by my retirement, basically, with my AI. So it means Russell leads the championship, 10 points ahead of Guan Yu Zhou, 17 ahead of me, and then Sainz, Leclerc, and Lando is now up into P6 in the standings. So Russell looking pretty nice at the moment. 10 points is a pretty decent gap in career mode terms, but we've still got a long way to go. But just, a big what if. This could have been a titanic race, I think, a 4 to 5 car battle, I think, with how things were shaping up, and I was really relishing that. It was awesome. We got very lucky, don't get me wrong, on lap 1, but then after that, we got our head down, and as soon as we got within DRS of the first car of Verstappen, we then just started to pick our way through, and we showed some great race pace, and I'm sure it would have been a great battle with Russell, who's looked very strong so far this season in terms of racecraft. But it happens. Obviously, we know this is a part of the game, and we've just, Lady Luck and the Formula 1 gods were not on our side today with a turbocharger failure, and so we're going to have to go and reset and just come back stronger next race from this adversity. Guys, if you did enjoy the episode nonetheless, then be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.